Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. Part 2 of that video on escaping the survival mentality and how it requires that light bulb to go off, right? And I was talking about how one of the greatest failures of our educational system is that rather, and unfortunately, the powers that be have taken initiatives and are putting initiatives in place that are continuing this trend. And the trend is that rather than teaching each individual child that they should explore what they're good at and what they have to offer the world, right? What their talent, gift, ability, skill, or trade is, right? And then giving them every tool with which to explore that so that they can provide a life for themselves that is fulfilling, enriching, and is contributive to the furtherance of the collective. This is a very fulfilling existence that everyone should have an opportunity to enjoy, and we should be teaching that to our children, right? In my opinion. That certainly they all have great value and have very individual talents, gifts, skills, trades that they can be offering to the world, right? Rather than this training regiment that seems to be the new direction. We're going to train you to effectively fill jobs. You know, they have got everyone so sold on this jobs equals, you know, production, and that equals, you know, success and prosperity for us all. When in reality, it's going to equal more of what it's always equaled. More power for the haves and more struggle for the have-nots. We're moving out of that, folks. That's the old paradigm. We don't want that. What we need is an educational system that teaches our children not to be the new cogs in the system, but to be the creative individuals that they are themselves to create new systems. Let me say that one more time. What we need from our educational system is not to teach our children how to be new cogs in the corporate system and further that old paradigm of control. What we need instead is an educational system that teaches our children to look inward, to recognize the myriad of ways in which they are special as individuals, and to use those to find, create, and build new systems. Folks, this world can and will look a whole lot different. We're going to see that increase more and more with each new generation, right? And in this lifetime, we'll see it increase exponentially already. And it's going to continue to do so as we continue to establish our new paradigm, as we continue to find new ways to get out of survival mentality, to let that just be the baseline that we're born into this world with, right? We need to create a society that is truly a civilization. And a civilization must be civilized. So a civilization takes care of its basic needs first and then goes forward beyond that. So food, clothing, shelter, the basic needs, let's get those problems wrapped up, folks. We have the resources, we have the ability and the wherewithal to do so. Let's stop allowing those socio-economic elite who want to keep those fear systems in place, right? There's not enough food, not enough resources, not enough this, not enough that. Remember, That's the ideology that gave you the foreshadowing on the Georgia Guidestones of what they want to see come to fruition. A population of no more than 500 million with a massive, massive population reduction. We're not of that mindset. We don't agree with that. We're not going to march into our own self-destruction to make this group of low vibrational frequency folks happy. These folks who have profited unimaginably off of the misery, pain, and hate of others, off of that low vibrational paradigm that we're moving out of. Why would we march ourselves to our own self-destruction? Our families, right? Our beloved children, our extended families. These are the people we love, our friends. We're supposed to march them into the same system, generation after generation, that kept that old paradigm of control in place for those socioeconomic elite that have fed off of our misery, pain, and hate, and have kept us from seeing that self-destructive system by keeping us locked in a survival mentality. And then we're going to turn to them to find a way out of it. That's just not logical, folks. That doesn't make sense. If they're the people who put the systems in place that you're trying to escape from, why would you go to them for a means or a way to escape it? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. If they are the folks who envision a future where most of you don't exist, why are we running to these people for health solutions? Why are we running to these people to guide us forward at all in any manner? We have got to wake up. We are not sheep. We are not these naive, childlike, easily manipulated people that they're making us out to be. And that unfortunately we have allowed ourselves to be portrayed as, because unfortunately we've been duped into acting that way. Tricked into thinking that if we have enough material appeasements, that our freedom isn't all that important. Duped into thinking that if we have enough material distractions, moving forward as a civilization is not important. Duped into thinking that if we live and strive toward the American dream, that we're going to be doing anything other than doing just that, living a dream. Because in reality, you'll continue to be just another cog in the corporate machine. Folks are not looking to live that. We don't want to be a cog in the machine anymore, right? It's true. That's what's happening. That's what is, gotten the elites in such a panic. There's a wave of consciousness going through this planet, spreading through the people on this planet, that is giving them so much of a higher sense of self-worth than to view themselves as just a cog in your machine. They just don't see themselves that way. People are beginning to look in the mirror in the beginning of their day and see a limitless future for themselves. I'm more than what I'm being defined as. I define me, right? That's the reality that people are coming to. That's the awakening that people are beginning to be more and more entrenched in. I'm more than just, part of someone else's plan. I wasn't born here to struggle. Think about that, folks. They have literally brainwashed, generations of us, into believing that life is all about struggling. What's the point? If we do nothing but struggle through a system that has us entrenched in constant production for someone else's benefit and constant consumption to keep someone else's machine going, when are we ever living our own lives? We're not. You're not living your own. If you were truly free, none of you were born into this world, got to be old enough to have a dream for yourself, then got to be old enough to say what you want to be, right? None of you envisioned yourselves as cogs in some corporate machine. That wasn't your dream. It wasn't. So why should you live your entire life following a course that's mapped out according to someone else's dream or vision for you? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, especially when those folks admittedly don't have your best interest at heart, right? Come on, folks, we got to wake up out of that. So as we escape survival mentality, the light bulb has got to go off. We've got to have discipline, right? Discipline in that they're not going to make it easy for you to get out of the system. But you got to start somewhere, right? You've got to say to yourself, a little bit less of my time has got to go toward these distractions, right? And if we look through our lives, we can categorize each and every aspect of our life. If we do it with maturity, right? We can maturely look at our lives and say, okay, in all honesty, this is just a distraction. This is how I find myself just distracted, right? I'm distracted. And be honest with yourself. If you know, fellas, if you find yourself out there, quote unquote, living a life of chase and tail, you're distracted by that. Women, if you find yourselves in the opposite, right, search, you're distracted by that. Men and women, if you find yourselves, you know, constantly chasing after the dollar, that's your distraction. Listen, the wealthiest people in this world are not chasing the dollar. They're not. They're not. They're not. They're not. You read the self-help books by any of these billionaires and, you know, philanthropists and whatnot, they don't start with telling you how much you need to be money hungry. In fact, often they start by telling you how you need to learn to give away and give back, because they understand the Hermetic principles and they've been applying them to their lives successfully for a long time. But you don't know anything about that, because all you can stop and think about, or all you're constantly consumed with, is the survival mentality. So get out of that by having the discipline to say a little bit less distraction, a little bit less consumption, and at least a part of that time. I know you're tired from working all week. Some of you putting in 40 and 50 hours and more. You know, many of you working 2 and 3 jobs. I understand. I've been there. I've lived that, right? I understand exactly what you're talking about. But that 2 to 4 hours on your weekend or whenever you can carve it out, that if you just start to put that much, just as a beginning, just as a starting point, toward whatever your external pursuit is, whatever it is within you that you think you have to offer to the rest of the world, start putting something toward that, right? Sit down with a pen and paper, figure out what it is that your dream is, or what it is that you can offer. Then start to formulate a plan of exactly what that entails to bring that to fruition. Listen, if you don't start a race, you'll never finish it. Huh? If you don't start a race, you'll never finish it. And this rings true with anything in your life. You got to take that first step. Often what this is going to require is two things to escape the survival mentality. It's going to require that leap of faith, right? That you're going to have to say, I'm going 100% betting on me. I'm betting on me 100%. And I'm going to live my life from this moment forward, putting as much of it toward that as I can, toward my success, for whatever it is my dream is, or whatever it is I can offer the world. And if you can only carve out, again, an hour or 2 to 4 hours a week, start with that. It'll grow. If you feel like you only have the financial resources to not do a whole lot, do what you can do. Make a list, literally on paper, of what you can do. Do all those things. And then after you've completed accomplishing that list, I guarantee you'll be able to formulate a new list of what you can do. Because you will change your life circumstances as you complete that list. And as your circumstances change, you will be formulating a new list of what you can do. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start with that leap that, you know what, I'm not looking toward trying to find a retirement in the dream. I'm looking toward living my dreams right now. And I'm going to leap toward that. Right? And it's going to take the discipline. You take that leap of faith and the discipline to be able to carve out that 1 or 2 hours, or that 2 to 4 hours. The discipline to be able to put away just a few of those dollars into a savings account with no debit card attached or anything attached, and leave that money there. Even if it's just a little bit, if you start to save, it'll grow. It'll grow. But we need to, every day, always take some time to rest, right? But every day we need to be thinking about our lives going forward for what our vision for ourselves is, not someone else's vision. Just like as we perceive this world, we need to perceive it with free-thinking, independent eyes, not a vision of reality that we're given by mainstream media, by mainstream news. Because again, those are all parts of the same mechanisms that keep you enthralled in that old paradigm in which you'll never be free. So, take the leap, right? You might not take it as dramatically as I have, right? Walking away from all linear systems, putting yourself in situations where, you may find yourself homeless from time to time. Who says I even took the wisest route? But what I did do is not stay the same and refuse to continue to feed that corporate system. And I'm finding my way out, right? Ah, there's breadcrumbs. The list changes. When you do all that you can do, your list changes. My story's not complete yet, right? I have yet to attain all the success I envision and that I know I will obtain, right? Um, but I still see it, right? And at least it's my vision, right? And I've done things that I've dreamed about doing. Dreamed all my life of writing a book. I've written a book, it's published, and now I've written a second book as well, and it'll soon be published. Huh? I've always been, those who know me, entrenched in music, particularly hip hop, right? Did little things, dabbled in music a bit uh, in my early years, but got sidetracked away from that dream, or allowed myself to be sidetracked away from that dream, and didn't contribute the talents and what I could have with that. Now I'm starting to. I have a single out. First album is soon to be out. The second album was already written, and we're going to be soon beginning recording on that. So there's a second album already in the works, right? Haven't talked about it a lot, but I'm working on a movie script. It's actually going to be not just a one movie, it'll be a motion picture and an anime movie as well, an anime version. You know, I'm doing some of the things that I envision for myself. And again, I'm only giving my examples of me and what I'm doing because you can easily say if Big King Sadiq is doing it and he doesn't have anything at the moment of you know, in the way of great financial resources or hardly any. uh, but I struggle to even say that because I know I got it right around the corner, right? And I speak that into existence, right? Speak the crown. Um, but still, you know, they don't look at me and see examples of financial success. But yet you can still look at me and see accomplishment, right? And you see happiness. I am more happy and accomplished in terms of what I can bring and offer to the world and what my vision and my dream is than I ever have been in my life without the material success that I know is just right around the corner. What? Uh, so be excited also as you take this leap, right? You take the leap of faith. You have the discipline to carve out what time, what resources you can, even if they're a little bit and minute and you think it's nowhere near enough. You have to start somewhere. Find out what your dream is, what your vision is, what your talent is, what you can offer. Sit down with a pen and paper, pencil and paper, and start carving out your path. And then just do it. Just take the leap. Just take the leap. And in doing so, in the action of doing that, without reaping what those seeds are sowing, just yet, without even reaping the rewards, just by sowing the seeds of intention, huh? Just by sowing the seeds of intention and then acting on it, you're escaping that survival mentality. Because now, what have you done? If you're sitting there writing these things down, you're not writing out all the survival things that you've been taught to write out, right? You're not just sitting down at the dinner table writing out how you're going to pay all your bills. You're not just sitting at the dinner table figuring out what your life insurance is or your, anything survival related. You're thinking on how you can flourish now while you're living. Huh? You're not thinking about surviving. You're thinking about living. There's a big difference between surviving and living, folks. We've been surviving and struggling to survive on this planet for a long time. We have beautiful lives that we can live. Let's live our lives. Let's escape survival mentality and live our lives. So take that leap of faith, have that discipline, and get excited about it. We ain't got nothing but bright outcomes ahead, folks. That much I can tell you. We got some monumental things ahead of us as a society that we'll start to see change. And if we allow it, we can start to have monumental change in our lives, individually. That's there for us right now. Those changes in society, we'll see that happen. We will. We'll see that happen. Let's have a little patience. If you're observant in the right ways, you can start to see it happening now. But yeah, individually, we don't have to wait for anything. Take that leap now. Right now. Beautiful outcomes are waiting for you when you do. Because you, the multi-dimensional being that you are a beautiful expression of your Creator's energy. As we all are. We are expressions of the divine energy of the Creator and Sustainer of everything that ever was, does, and ever shall exist. Doesn't matter what name you want to put on that, what you want to call your higher power. Let's accept all of that and just move forward, knowing that when we take that leap of faith, we got some sure hands that will catch us, right? And as part of an expression of that divine energy, in reality, you're catching yourself. Let's do it. It's here, folks. The new paradigm is not on the way anymore. It's here. We just have to lock it down and cement it in. Huh? It's here. All right. Thank you all. Like, share, subscribe. Let's continue to build what? Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq. I'm out.